Willkommen bienvenue nach our QI, where tonight, at long last, it's the long lost show. Let's meet the long-trousered Jimmy Carr, the long-suffering Claudia Dirty, the long-awaited Suggs, and the lost cause, Alan Davies. And now for some long-form buzzers. Jimmy goes... That is long form.
I'll go ahead. I'm not thinking.
Claudia goes...
It's going to be a very long show.
Sometimes we shorten the cues, you'd be surprised. Suggs goes... And Alan goes... Bitter, very bitter. Now, we haven't been going long, and already I've lost a lavatory. So if you spot it, let me know by playing your spend a penny. Spend a penny, and if you're right, there'll be points. If you're wrong, there may be deductions. It's up to me to decide. Oh, that's your joker. So, how could living in a tiny flat stop you from losing your marbles? Yes, Claudia.
If you had a very small house, you wouldn't be worried that there was a killer in the next room. That's something that I worry about in my house.
Do you?
Yes, but if it was small, very small, one room, I would be fine. I wouldn't be scared at all.
Wouldn't you need a Jodie Foster-style sort of safe...
A panic room. Well, the whole house is the panic room.
Okay, I guess it would
if
be.
If it's a small flat, yeah.
I guess it is, isn't it?
Yes, so how many points do I get for that?
I think you may have come in with a rather optimistic frame of mind here.
You watch too many of those horror films where it's always the phone call came from
inside the house.
Oh,
yeah. Well, if they're not in the house, they can't get you. Your horror movies sound fine.
There's so many genres, and sometimes there's the cabin in the woods genre, high school ones. And
there's camp ones.
Camp ones, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, not camp in the sense of...
No.
Camp horror would be quite fun, wouldn't it? Ooh! You gave me a start.
I think you've created a genre right there.
I think I may.
Or something just stabbed me in the back.
Dear.
Let's come back at the same time tomorrow.
What are you doing in the woods? Wow.
Behave, all of you. Now, let's return to the question, which was, Suggs.
It was, why would you be less likely to lose your marbles in a small flat? Apart from the fact if you're playing marbles, there's less distance for them to go.
That's a very good thought. When actually being figurative here, it's a very common thing that happens. And when you've gone into a room, you've forgotten what you've got into it for. You know?
I've had that I had that at Hammersmith Apollo once. I get on stage and went, what? Jokes, right.
I have a good thing I do so I don't do that, though, which is if I'm looking for a thing so I don't forget what that thing is, I start saying the thing, so I just go, keys.
That's right.
And then I find the keys pretty cool. Yeah. You're welcome.
But there was a study at Notre Dame, they call it in America, university, which discovered that the key thing that makes you forget is crossing a threshold. In other words, going from one room to another. If you have a one-room flat, it's unlikely to happen.
You don't want to stick on the horror theme too much, but if there's a vampire then and they're planning to kill you and they have to be invited into the house by tradition and they cross the threshold, is there a chance when you invite them in they go,
Indeed.
I forgot what
Not only that, they're chasing you from one room to another. Yeah, they keep going, why did I come into the kitchen?
Bite him in the neck, bite him in the neck, bite
Yeah.
him in the neck.
That's exactly it. There's something that happens in the brain. It may be an evolutionary thing when you move from one sort of landscape, from a thicket to open country, as it were, the equivalent of a threshold, that for some reason you no longer need the same tools to cope with that particular environment or habitat, and so we somehow seem to forget it.
But I mean, for instance, if you're in B&Q, that's one big room, isn't it? I mean, you don't cross any thresholds, but...
That's true. When you go in there, you do forget everything. I meant to get those raw plugs and the butt plugs.
The reason why...
Where the car is, who you're married to.
Why you haven't killed yourself
Suggs, let's not go down that.
No, I'm just saying, it is a big room, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, crossing a threshold makes you lose your thread. What's the world's longest living thing? Suggs.
A giant redwood.
Good answer. Not correct, but good. They do live a very, very long time.
There was
and it's
a
not a
clam.
klaxon. A clam.
A clam that some scientists killed last year that was 500 years old.
That some scientists killed?
Yeah, it was an accident. But they were like, guys, great news, we found the oldest thing in the world. We killed it, but it's really old.
It was over 500 years old.
This is well over 500 years old. Possibly immortal.
Is that picture a clue?
There is some there, I think. Well, you can see...
Should we have a klaxon? Do you want a klaxon?
What are you going to say?
Is it going to be...
Brucey. Obviously, if you're watching this...
Love, respect,
Yeah.
everything. He loves this show. I invited him on, and he just kind of... He said, look, I never went to any school. I don't really know anything.
He knows loads of stuff. He's brilliant to hang out with.
I know. He's fantastic.
The problem with asking him to do things is he lives in a house with a lot of rooms.
Just off one of the holes in Wentworth, I think is where he lives, isn't he? That's
Lichen!
Yes, is the right answer. Lichen. But no, it's nothing to do with the lavatory, but I don't count that as playing. It is lichen. Lichen, there it is. How many forms of life make up lichen, as it were?
Well, I don't even understand the question. How many forms of...
Well, you know, sometimes you get symbiosis, which creates what seems to be one thing, but is in fact made up of other things.
Okay.
Things living together, symbiotic. And this is two organisms. It's fungus and algae.
Fungus and algae living together.
Yeah, that's right.
What is it? We're making the worst ever sitcom.
The fungus...
They're living together, but they don't get on. All this.
Fungus, the bogeyman, and algae from
I've
Biggles.
got ebony and ivory in my head now. Fungus and algae.
Well, the fungus provides a cosy environment, and the algae has the equipment to photosynthesize. And they live happily together on the stones and in incredible environments. Well, there's 9,000 years old one in Lapland, probably the world's oldest living thing, so far as we know. They're everywhere. They're the dominant vegetation on 8% of the world's surface. Not just they exist there, they are the dominant vegetation. They can be very tasty. There's Pete Townsend. You know, you remember Pete.
Indeed.
No, I don't mean Pete Townsend. That can't be right.
Go in another room, see if you remember.
Pete Waterman.
Pete Waterman. Take two very different animals.
That's a very different set of jokes in my head. I've got very little in that
Neither of
category.
them acceptable.
Yeah.
So, Pete Waterman, his hobbies.
Model railway collecting.
Model railways, very
Yes,
good.
yes.
Where might you use lichen or...
All over his face.
There's a kind of lichen that's known as caribou moss. So it's a moss-like lichen, and that's it there. And it's used by model railway enthusiasts for what?
Who put
Grass.
To create grass.
Not grass.
Bushes.
Bushes and trees.
Hang on a second. Can we just take a moment to look at
little
that photo
furry
and ask
green
what the
wings.
hell is going on there? That seems to me like a zoo with an enclosure that's just gone. Stick them in together. There's been some budget cuts. They can work it out. Why not put them in with them?
Yes, you can.
A lot of those guys need water.
It's very near the coast, as you can see.
How is that near the coast?
It's slithering down, all the little water's running down to the
Yeah,
sea.
look at the poor fat fella at the back. Look at him. He's just stranded there going, well...
Hang on. It does look a bit
Hello, this
odd.
feels wrong. Hello. I shouldn't be in with a deer. Hello.
The photographer is giving his usual lie, which is just one more, just one more.
Hello, the deer has drunk all the water.
They are reindeer.
Come on, that's bloody good. Reindeer.
Lichen, however you want to say it, comes from the Greek leikein, to lick. As limpets, they lick rocks, it seems. That's how people interpret it. Seems to be no clear consensus
Or
as to whether it
cane
is lichen, or cane toads, exactly, lichen or lichen. But as the great performance poet Rory Motion put it, you call it lichen, I call it lichen, let's call the whole thing moss. Now, what's long, begins with L, and gets you sleepy, horny, and pregnant? Suggsy.
Lunch.
It's true.
You know the pet name I've got for my penis?
That's just terrible.
Is it Larry?
Is it Larry?
Meet Larry.
I would think it's probably Lancelot.
Oh my goodness. It's actually called Lancelot because of all the boils. Hey, they booked me. What were they hoping for? Yeah, so it's horny, sleepy.
Horny, sleepy, pregnant, yeah.
Is it? It sounds like Rohypnol.
Lying down
Lying down, what kind of make you feel all those things?
Yeah.
This is food stuff.
that makes you
Leeks.
Leeks, good. You're in the right area, you're in the vegetable garden, that's where I want you to be.
Legumes.
Lettuce.
Lettuce is the right answer. Lettuce.
Oh, look at that.
Whoa.
Oh, Stephen. Oh, This is a family show. Take it away.
Imagine if those idiots were here now. I forget the like and...
I would ride that like a stolen bike. Who gets horny looking at letters?
Are you now pregnant?
Hippocrates, the father of medicine as he was known, because his name lives on in the Hippocratic Oath, which is, oh fuck, I've killed him again, is again?
I've killed another.
I've killed another, that's what I meant to say. Hippocrates lived on an island that was that shape. It was called the island of Kos. But the island was named after the lettuce, because Kos is the Arabic for lettuce. Kos, it was the Arabic.
Because.
He described its opiate qualities, as did Beatrix Potter in Peter Rabbit.
Soporific.
Soporific was exactly the word she used. Very good.
Yes.
Points for that. And they very nearly ended up in Mrs. McGregor's rabbit pie as a result of falling asleep. Anyway, yes, lettuce is slightly soporific making. However, it's been bred less and less so. The wild lettuce in really strong quantities. Rather than, Claudia, it making you feel sleepy, it makes you feel...
Horny.
Horny and bouncy.
Right.
And therefore, it's a kind of stimulant, which is tryptophan alkaloid, which is the same as found in cocaine. And so it can give you a bit of a kick.
I'm getting down the greengrocers.
Well, they did try and sell it in America under names like lopium with an L apostrophe and lettucine, but most are made from ordinary garden lettuce. It has to be wild lettuce that you find, and it shouldn't be fed to rabbits because it upsets their tummies actually. So if you have a rabbit,
went back to the gardener, the farmer who'd put his own father in a pie.
Yeah, Mr. McGregor. It's a kind of, there's a revenge in this.
Don't go down there. He put your father in a pie.
Yeah. He should have said, hello, my name is Don Peter Rabbit. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
He puts the lettuce in one hand and a shooter in the other.
Victorian picnickers wrapped lettuce around what for picnics?
Their penises.
Meat.
That's if in doubt. It's going to be a knob. It is a knob. The word knob is used of this substance. Yes, that's absolutely right. They'd wrap it around butter to keep it cool. Yeah, there it is.
What did they wrap around their penis?
And don't new mothers put cabbage leaves in their bras to cool their cracked, sore nipples?
Yep.
I didn't know that. Is that
That's the
true?
thing? Yeah.
Cracking of the nipple is not a laughing matter.
No, I wouldn't want.
Not laughing matter.
Ouch.
It doesn't make the baby any less hungry.
And is it any easier if you express into a machine, or is that worse?
Well, I don't know all the details.
No. You agree to do 2/3 of the nappy work. Quite a lot of the driving around in a car when
I
it's
just remember
screaming.
But it's a great way for new mums to express themselves.
Right. It's a cruel business down
Really
there.
groaning today. Just a joke, relax.
It's because... Anyway, lettuce is good for all sorts of things except rabbits, apparently. What's the world's longest experiment?
QI.
That's certainly possibly the world's longest failed experiment.
I definitely had a couple of, double physics on a Wednesday afternoon that dragged.
I know what you mean. This is really quite long for one experiment. If I tell you when it started, it may give you an idea of how old it is. It was started in 1840. At least that's what we think. It may actually have begun 15 years earlier than that.
And is it still...
It's still going, yeah.
I
think they've got to just call a day on that. That homework is going to be late.
Is it curing the common cold?
No, in fact, he said it was a pile. Does that help you?
It's not like continental drift or something, is it?
No, the word pile, what does it mean in French?
Pile.
Pile. Well, yes, well, in English, how would we say that? Oh, yeah. Battery, French called a battery, a pile, a pile, a heap, a stack. And this one is in Oxford in a scientific laboratory and has been there since 1840. And as you can see, below it are two domes and a clanger. And when one clanger hits a bell, it causes a charge to make it go and hit the other one. It's rung 10 billion times since it was started.
Oh, it's annoying for the neighbours, isn't it?
It's incredibly quiet because it's inside a double bell jar. But the actual battery won't run out for 350 years, they think.
Really?
Yeah.
Is someone periodically taking it out and doing that with it?
No. It's not like static electricity.
Are they licking it?
No, they're not quite sure, of course, exactly what it's made of. Because he didn't make notes. He wasn't like, Dr. Jekyll. I know.
Aim, method, apparatus.
Yeah, I know you're supposed to keep good notes. But this was a Reverend Doctor of Experimental Philosophy, which is what they called physics in those days. And he didn't keep those kind of good notes. So we don't
350 years. Could these people get in touch with Apple? Because my phone runs out like about every hour.
I don't think you need worry. There's some good scientists in Israel who've come up with an extraordinary, almost you might call biological battery, which they've demonstrated the concept by charging a phone in 45 seconds, fully charging it. Really very impressive. We're ready to go to market in a couple of years.
I'm very impressed with 350-year battery life.
It is damn good, isn't it? But it's a tiny amount that's needed in order to operate.
They could have done something more interesting with it, though. I mean, you say what you want about the Duracell Bunny. It's fun to watch.
That's true.
It has a lovely clang and it goes, something.
The Guinness Book of Records, however, gives as the longest experiment something that's happening down under, which started in the 1920s, which is a lot more recent, 120 years more recent. Yep.
Is it neighbours?
A grotesque social experiment. It went horribly wrong.
Turned out to be a documentary all along.
And Madge was created. Professor Thomas Parnell, University of Queensland, who showed that apparently solid materials can flow like liquids, and he chose pitch, which is used when hot as a sort of tar-like substance, but when it's chilled down, it becomes incredibly brittle. If you hit it with a hammer, it would shatter into thousands of pieces. But he wanted to prove that it was liquid, so he suspended some over a funnel, and at room temperature, it's moving very slowly. It's about 100 billion times more viscous than water. A pitch drop, it's called, the experiment. Now, unfortunately, this really is...
I think they use that in McDonald's milkshakes. I think they have a little bit of it in there, because sometimes it can be quite...
And the brain freeze that goes with it, exactly, yeah. It has actually dropped 9 times in 87 years. It's once a decade.
Oh, it's exciting, isn't it?
Well, unfortunately, the first...
Are there many people still watching?
No, the first 8 all happened at a time when nobody was watching. And the 8th was being recorded by a video camera, which malfunctioned at the critical moment. And the 9th drop in 2014 snapped off because the apparatus was being adjusted, so it doesn't count. So that's a very long experiment, but one which really, unfortunately, has never been observed.
When will they stop it?
I don't think they will. I think they'll probably...
I don't want to have a go at Queensland, but I don't think there's a lot else going on. I think let's just stick with this.
Cane toads? That's a big
cane
problem.
Cane toads? You can lick at cane toads.
Yeah.
What do you mean you can lick a cane toad?
Do you hallucinate?
Do you know
Yeah,
about
if you
that?
lick the back of the cane toad.
Who found that out? How many toads have they licked?
This not a toad. I was told when I was a boy that if you took the wax from a dog's ear and rubbed it on the engine of a motorcycle, it would melt and go up into you and give you incredible hallucinations. I tried it and it didn't work.
I think you were hallucinating when you dreamt someone told you that.
I think someone was pulling my... You know what it is when your kids go, apparently...
I just love the idea of you with a Q-tip and a dog. Exactly. Here, boy, Daddy needs to get high.
You must have done that when you were a kid.
I don't know about the earwax from dogs, no.
What,
it was
tea?
It was drying banana skins and smoking
Yes.
it. It was pretty unpleasant, was it? And then, of course, I joined the rock and roll band and things changed quite dramatically.
You sobered up completely. So, excellent. Yeah, there you go. That's the Clarendon Dry Pile, the world's longest scientific experiment. It's been quietly ringing bells in a city of dreaming spires for 174 years. What use is half a copy of the Daily Telegraph? That's a very pleasing
Makes your
photograph.
butt look good.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? That is a fine, fine pair of mates.
Footballers used to put magazines down the back of their socks in the days when you were allowed to tackle from behind.
Well, that's interesting. So it stopped getting hacked.
When they got kicked in the back of their legs.
Is it? Well, they used to put newspaper... Fish and chips were
Yes.
sold in newspaper, and it was because it was the cheapest way to get a clean wrapper.
Absolutely. But I'm going to draw a line now because you're going to get it just by default. It's the spend a penny question. The lavatorial answer.
So half a copy of the...
Daily Telegraph.
Wow, I mean, that's a lot.
I know what
going
you're
on there.
thinking of. You're immediately thinking of essuyant. You're thinking of wiping, aren't you?
No,
That's not the
I'm
answer.
thinking there's something else. At football matches, when I was a kid,
Yeah.
when people stood, there was, I think, more than an apocryphal side of the fact that when something warm ran down the back of your leg, there was a fella, 2 people behind you, peeing in a rolled-up newspaper.
Oh.
So you got past the person in front of you. He got the blame, but it was the bloke behind him who was actually peeing. He was too squashed in to do anything about it, but it wasn't that, obviously. And it wouldn't have been the Telegraph or the Chelsea Shed.
No, I don't think it's...
That's where it all went wrong.
Anyway, it was used until the 1970s as a test, as an index to test...
Oh,
Well, so if it could flush
Yes.
it away...
the length of time spent on the...
No, not that. That's a very good...
No, but if you put it down the toilet, if you could flush that away...
If you
would
could
say
flush it, a lavatory had to be powerful enough to be able to flush down half a Daily Telegraph.
That's quite a lot to flush away, isn't it, actually? I mean, it's a lot to flush, isn't it?
It is. It is. And it's
Sometimes when you go to an old building...
Very good. Nice one.
Not a unanimous round of applause.
Yeah, not unanimous. They now use a synthetic sludge stimulant.
What to read?
That's the Daily Mail.
Yeah, that's the Daily Mail. The synthetic sludge stimulant is a mixture of yeast, water, seed husks, peanut oil, miso paste, and shredded tissue, otherwise known as fake poo. Unilever developed it for their Domex Toilet Academy, which is in India, and they hope to be able to install 24,000 new lavatories in India for World Toilet Day 2015.
It's a very important thing, though, isn't it? So like a third of the world's population don't have a flushing toilet.
Absolutely. In India, a staggering 90% of Indians own a mobile phone, but only 50% have flush loos.
Priorities, isn't it? It's all priorities.
According to insurance claims, a staggering 800,000 mobile phones are accidentally flushed down the loo in Britain each year.
Well, at least they don't have that problem.
Exactly.
Just give it a packet of vegetarian sausages. Take it from me. That
Really?
would probably be the closest poo replica you can find. But they're absolutely delicious.
I'm sure they are. So let's go to Victorians, who are, of course, as always, more ambitious when it came to the loos. George Jennings, he was the man. His pedestal vase, he flushed down, to show its capacity, 10 apples, 4 pieces of paper, a flat sponge, and an apprentice's cap. Swept away at a single flush at the public debut of his pedestal
Like
vase.
a very hungry caterpillar.
It was. He installed the first ever public lavatories for the Great Exhibition in 1851. It was a huge success, and the loos had 827,280 visitors. How would they know it was that number?
Count.
Goodness me.
But to count everyone who goes to the loo is just ridiculous. But there's another thing you can count.
Man of water you use?
No.
Loo roll you use? Right. Is that another
These were the first
Penny.
public loos.
They paid.
You paid a penny.
Ah,
They count the pennies. They counted the pennies, and it came to 827,280. And for that penny, you got a clean seat, a towel, a comb, a shoe shine, and a nice hole in the partition, just in case. No. So anyway, that was the beginning of the euphemism to spend a penny. There it began, and still it goes on in some families. What would you do with the world's longest corkscrew?
Undo the world's most convivial bottle of wine.
Ah, exactly. Perfect.
I would make a sex toy for pigs.
Because you know about the fact exactly that
Pigs got a little
a
corkscrew.
little curly corkscrew
Yes, yes.
of a knob.
Not just pigs as well.
Oh, is it not for taking out
Duck.
blood?
Been looking for someone who goes the other way. Oh dear. So this is a helical structure. It's not really a corkscrew, but it's the longest that occurs in nature. And I have one. Yes, I have one. I don't have one growing about my person. I have one on my person, as it were. No, it's on my person.
I can't believe you've been so blasé about this. You've killed a unicorn. You're a monster.
Oh, J.K. Rowling gave me permission. It's not a unicorn, though some believe the unicorn myth sprang from this
is it the
creature.
narwhal?
Narwhal, absolutely right. And
Very good.
I'm pretty sure that's made up.
Yeah.
What? It's a narwhal.
there it is.
What?
I know. Isn't
No
it astonishing?
way.
I think it's been glued on by someone at the Natural History Unit in Bristol, but it is a real creature. It's a whale, and the word narwhal means dead body, nar, in Norse, because it's a rather grey, unappetising looking flesh. But what do you think it is? Do you think it's horn or tooth or what?
I imagine it's hair. It's always hair, isn't it?
In this case, it isn't. It's actually a tooth. It's a tooth without enamel. It is a single tooth that bursts out of it. I mean, it's phenomenal. And nobody quite knows, A, why it's corkscrewed, and what it's for. The assumption people make, because it's on the male, must be, therefore, that it's for fighting other males for the right to mate. But nobody has ever observed to... Oh, hang on. No, they rubber them together as a sort of bonding thing, so it's not fighting. They don't hurt
Rub them
each other.
together as a bonding sort of thing.
Yeah. They've been to private school.
You keep on telling yourself that, Steve.
It's the only way they ever get to chew.
In
They
fact,
get a grate between them.
They're
and
very
kind
much the Ken Dodd of the
they are, aren't they? They actually eat their food by sort of hoovering it up and just inhaling it virtually. They're not krill eaters like a lot of the larger whales. The most common form of death, which is strange because you might think they could get out of it with this, is they get trapped under the ice. Massive entrapments can sometimes kill as many as 100, which is very sad. They're called sassats, these entrapments, and you'd think maybe they could get them down and poke up and, exactly, twist open a hole in the ice. But it's fascinating that a creature like that, we think we cover the world with our natural history documentaries and so on, the whole channel's devoted to it, and people go out in boats and they quietly watch things, but we still just don't know what that's for. And I think it's rather nice when there's a mystery about animals. We're very grateful to Raph Valls, who lent us his snooker, Q, and...
Maybe they are just attractive to the female.
It may be
whale.
that, yeah.
Maybe
It may
like,
just be
I
that.
like your one. Come on. That must be awful when you have to give birth to a boy one.
Oh, well, I think it grows, I hope. Let's hope it grows afterward. Yes, anyway, what has a long tail and loses long jumps? Oh dear, it seems to be getting worse. Yes?
The conga. The human conga.
Of course, you're famous for your congas. Not the conga, no. But a particular person who had long hair and lost a long jump. It's that simple. Yeah.
My little boy said to me this morning, he's 2, he came up to me and he goes, I'm a dog. I'm a dog. And I said, can you wag your tail? And he said, I haven't got a tail. I said, you haven't got a tail? He goes, I'm not a real dog.
He should. You have trained him well.
I do love him so.
So it's Animal Kingdom. It's got a long...
It's in the animal kingdom. It's human. I'll give you that far.
And it had a long tail.
Which made them lose the long jump.
What, the tail lands in the sand?
Yes.
And makes it your jump shorter.
Behind the jump, exactly. So what sort of tail would that be?
Ponytail.
Ponytail. Yes, and there she is. She made a fantastic jump in the World Championship in 2011. It was 6.9 metres, and she was from Belarus. Her name was Natasia Mironchik-Ivanova, and there you can see exactly what happened. A great jump, and that tail counts, I'm afraid. So she came fourth on that basis. It was still a good jump, but...
It looks to me, that photo on the left, it looks like she's treating that sandpit like a cat would.
But long jump doesn't seem to have changed much. You run along, you bounce off the wooden or whatever it's made of these days thing, and you fly through the air and you jump. What do you think of any innovations that might have been tried?
It used to be in the first Olympics, it was a standing jump, wasn't it?
It was the standing jump, yes. But in terms of long jump, they did try a rather obvious innovation to make them go further. It made...
Marshmallows.
Custard would be interesting, wouldn't it?
No, it was the jumpers themselves who tried it. They were banned by the International Athletic Federation.
Springs.
No, that would be good. Springs, I like that. Very Beano, somehow, isn't it? Very comic.
Steroids.
You say...
What did Dick Fosbury do to the high jump? He revolutionised it.
Jumped over backwards.
Yeah.
He jumped over backwards. It caused the Fosbury flop.
Oh, were they jumping forward?
Exactly.
Did he keep that?
He dived.
No, they tried to somersault in the air, like somebody's just scored a goal. And they found that got them further. Unfortunately, they tried kind of off-season. And the International Amateur Athletics Federation
Landed on their heads.
saw it happening and ruled in Rule 185.1c, as you well know. An athlete fails if he employs any form of somersaulting whilst running up or in the act of jumping, because they thought it was so far off the original. And in fact, they would have done that to Fosbury if Fosbury hadn't been smart enough to save his flop for the actual Olympic Games. He was awarded a gold medal, so it was too late for them to change it.
So if you turn up now with giant marshmallows tied to your feet on the day, there's nothing they can do about it.
On the day they can't touch it.
Anyway, what human endurance record gets broken every 8 months?
Pregnancy.
Just stop and think now. How is that an endurance record? Every 8 months on average, the world's oldest person dies.
Something like that.
Brilliant, Claudia. Absolutely right. Every 8 months on average, the world's oldest person dies. So at the moment, they may be the oldest person in the world, somewhere in, I don't know, Kazakhstan or somewhere. There are certain places where...
Japan.
Well, Japan is...
Japan.
Yeah, Japan, Costa Rica, nearly always very near the sea. Sardinia is another place.
Bournemouth.
Bournemouth, maybe. Who's that? Do you remember her? She's a very extraordinary exception who stayed the oldest person for a very long time. She died in 1997, aged 122 and 164 days, so 122 and a third and the rest. She was a smoker and she held pole position for more than 2 years. She died in 1997. She knew Van Gogh.
And Bruce Forsyth.
Absolutely. She was a fabulous figure. She said, the only wrinkle I have, I'm sitting on. But terrifically humorous and extraordinary woman. And her name was Jeanne Calment. And that's exactly where she lived, around Arles. Extraordinary. Lots of olive oil, obviously. That seems to be good. There are parts of the world where people seem to live unusually long, and they're called blue zones, and you can see them there. Loma Linda, Nicoya in Costa Rica, Sardinia, Icaria, which is where Icarus is said to have dropped into the sea, and Okinawa. All of them by the sea, so maybe seafood is a good thing, and omega-3s which come from... Sorry, I'm in the way.
No, I'm just checking Australia.
Oh, no, I'm afraid...
Doesn't look good, doesn't look good.
No.
They say it's less dairy, don't they? It's like
Good red wine, good sort of ordinary red wine.
red wine.
I'll tell you where a great place to live is the sea.
Yes. Very blue.
Really feels like you could last there.
Yeah.
Dry land seems to be holding us back.
Is it genuinely a scientific fact about bringing booze home from your holiday that makes it taste different when you get home?
I know it does.
It's delicious old plonk when you're sitting on the beach. You get it home and your neighbour's teeth fall out.
No.
It's so true. You've only got... There's only a couple of tastes, but there's a million different flavours because it's the nose. And what you're smelling when you're on holiday is just you're on the beach and there's other things
it's
around.
particularly true of
And you got your feet up,
cold
relaxed,
wine.
and you're all lovely, and it's beautiful.
It's very cold and you're hot, and when it's cold you taste much less of it. Chilled Retsina is a perfect example.
I do remember being on holiday recently in southern Italy and this delicious chilled rosé, and I said to the fella, after much pidgin Italian, what is this? It's absolutely fantastic. And he went to his missus and he came back and he went, it is wine, signor. Stupid English pig. What do you think it is?
I was with a couple in Ischia, and they said, what's this wine? It's liquid sunshine. They said, what's it called? And they looked at it and they said, it's Lacrima Christi. They turned to me and they said, what does Lacrima Christi mean? I said, well, it means the tears of Christ. I went, oh my goodness, we shouldn't be drinking this.
It's always been valuable. Bloody hell, he was upset. He must have been gutted. Did they lose at home?
Anyway, sorry, very strange. So anyway, there we are with age. Someone breaks the world's oldest living person record every 8 months, which brings us stumbling into the long-lost land of general ignorance. Fingers on buzzers, if you would, please. Right. What is cryogenics?
Where they freeze someone's head, right?
No. Ah, you see? Thank you. No problem at all.
And my problem with that is, okay, so you get like an incredibly wealthy guy, like, you know, you're Walt Disney, and you go, okay, we're going to freeze your head so they can find a cure for what killed you. You know, brilliant idea. Will they be able to find a cure for being decapitated? So what is cryogenics then?
Cryogenics is the study of what happens to things under extreme cold, you know, almost approaching absolute zero. But it's not what happens when you freeze people in order to wake them up again later. Does anyone know what the actual freezing of people is called as opposed to cryogenics?
Winter.
Cryonics, well done. Winter, very good. Cryonics is the right answer. Thank you. Yay, clever you. Right. Yeah. So don't confuse cryonics and cryogenics, though it must be said, if you follow the OED online, they keep up with usage, and in science fiction, they use it's cryogenically frozen to mean cryonically frozen. Right. But to be precise, because there is a real study, cryogenics, which is very important for superconductivity and other things, and that's
also fish fingers.
And for fish fingers. So, good, excellent. Can you name a famous person who's kept in the cryonic preservation?
Walt Disney.
Oh! Quite a few people believe in cryonic preservation, but Walt Disney. I'm sorry.
You need to do that in a more Scottish voice.
I do, don't I?
Once again, more Scottish.
Quite a few people believe in cryonic preservation, but Walt Disney. No, he died of lung cancer in 1966 and was buried at Forest Lawn Cemetery, and his daughter was astonished by this bizarre urban myth that Walt Disney was
She's going to be even more astonished
when
he thought
appears,
yeah.
There is probably the most famous person who's chronically preserved was Professor James Bedford of the University of California, pretty much the father of cryopreservation.
We're going to have to agree to disagree on the definition of famous.
Oh, I know, he's famous in that community.
I mean, he's not Miley Cyrus, is he?
Who? January the 12th, 1967, he was frozen, and amongst the cryonics community, January the 12th was known as Bedford Day, that was his name. So he's famous amongst that particular group of people. Which is not huge, I grant. Cryogenics is the study of very cold things. Freezing dead people is cryonics. What colour is the dark side of the moon?
Well, you can't see it, Stephen, so no one really knows.
No, that's not true at all. The dark side of the moon is the part which is dark when it's
that dreadful Pink Floyd album that won't go out the charts.
Absolutely, that lasted a very long time, sold 50 million copies and counting. But you can see a horned moon or a new moon, you can see the sliver, and then the dark bit reflects, what did it reflect? It is light. We'll show you a bit of horned moon here. There's a horned moon, and there's a shine on it that comes as a reflection of the Earth. Yeah. So it's actually kind of blue, but it's not really blue. It's turquoise, according to the Mauna Loa Lab, the observatory in Hawaii. So it has earth shine, which is turquoise. So that's what the colour of the dark side of the moon is, in case you wanted to know.
Lovely.
Very nice.
At least I say the moon, but how many moons does the Earth have?
Oh, God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most definitely only one.
Oh, dear. Of course. It had to be that.
Of course.
Yep.
Well, it is the moon. I think I'm with him.
Yeah.
They've changed
They call it...
The one and only moon.
Well, the moon's around, clearly around
The
other
moon
planets.
in June, all them songs, come on, they're all about the moon.
Lots of orbiting objects, aren't there? Some of them are really...
There are lots of orbiting objects, yeah. We gave an argument there were hundreds last time to confuse you, but there's another argument which seems quite compelling and interesting, certainly, which is that there are none. Which is to say that the moon is not a moon. The moon actually qualifies...
We've just discovered it's turquoise, and now it's not there.
It qualifies... It's there, but it maybe qualifies as a planet. A wanderer, a planet, because...
But the Clangers lived on it, didn't they? We know that. And all that.
Well, in order to be a planet, the International Astronomical Union in 2006 laid down definitions. These were the ones that booted out Pluto, I think. So it has to orbit the sun. Right. It has to be massive enough for its own gravity to make it round. It has to have cleared its neighbourhood of smaller objects. The moon comfortably fulfills the first two. On the third, it makes more sense to say that the Earth and moon together have cleared their neighbourhood. The Earth certainly hasn't cleared the moon, so they are a binary system, like binary stars.
Like lichen.
Yeah, exactly. So there is a genuine possibility some people... And the sun's gravitational effect on the moon is more than twice that of the Earth's. So we don't have nearly as much gravitational effect. So there is a good reason to suspect that we are actually in possession of a fellow planet, the moon.
So all them songs binned, eh?
Well, you're a musician. There's a gap in the market now.
There is,
yeah. Write a song called "The Little Planet Out There."
Come with me with the planet, Janet. You know, come on. The moon in June and the planet with Janet Fate Porter.
It goes round the Earth, though.
The Earth orbits the moon as well.
What?
Yeah. Is it? I know. Go use an asteroid. So we've been consistently inconsistent about this, but tonight we're saying that the Earth doesn't have a moon at all. So there. That was a slightly mean question to end on, so let's have a liquid lark. I've got some liquid here in the form of our very own QI water, as you can see. And what I'm going to do is pour some... I'm going to not use the sporty... Oh, God, I can't open it. I'm going to use the sporty bit. There we go.
That's as much exercise as you get, is it?
Yeah. So what we do is we flatten this card on it, and we turn it upside down, and I want you to try and do this if you can. And, oh God, please work, please work, please work, please work, please work. There you go, holds up. Good. So you should be able to try that. Whoa.
Terrific, terrific fun.
Yeah.
This could not possibly end in tears.
No, try it, honestly.
I don't know.
You just
Okay,
turn it
Go on. So, what, where? And...
Yay! And do you want to know something really extraordinary about this? Watch. This should work.
I'll leave it out.
Shut up. Shut the front door.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
You're actually made of magic.
Not bad, is it?
Let's have a look. Well, hang on a second. I know you know J.K. Rowling, but how's that done?
On that water bomb shell, at long last, it is time for the scores. And it's pretty exciting. In first place, it's Claudia with +9.
Oh my God.
In second place, with -8, is Alan Davis. In third place, with -16, it's Suggs. Which means our runaway loser with -37 is Jimmy Carr. And this is It's good night from Claudia, Jimmy, Suggs, Alan and me. And I'll leave you with the last words of the great hotelier, Conrad Hilton. Leave the shower curtain on the inside of the tub. Those were his dying words. Good night.
From The Young Ones to Bottom and Blackadder, Rick Mayall was a comedy genius, lord of misrule. Happy memories and tributes coming up next. Or just started on BBC4, the story of the woman behind or even under Pop's most famous beehive. It's definitely Dusty Springfield.